The Spanish Grand Prix was quite an amazing way to cap off the triple header. It honestly was a great race, all things considered. You wouldn't expect Spain to cook as much as it did, but the last lap action, man, that safety car was just so perfectly timed. It gave us so many shenanigans, and I saw a Sauber overtake a Ferrari in 2025. That I don't think anybody expected that, including me. So I'm here to recap the Spanish Grand Prix weekend, kind of give my winners and losers and my take on the race overall here as we look forward now to Canada coming up next.
So FP1 would start with Ferrari looking like a competitive team again. And that's great news for their fans, really giving them some hope. I just really hope for their sake that it is not false hope. And we also had another team of note, Mercedes, looking extra slow here. Their car just looked nowhere. The balance was really awful, and Russell and Antonelli finished 11th and 18th, so not looking great. Of course, Max Verstappen was up there, and Yuki Tsunoda honestly did not look bad. He was in the top 10, and hopefully his form stays like that over the weekend. FP2 didn't really see much of note with the exception of Mercedes remembering how to set up a race car. Good job to the Mercedes team. They finally figured out that they need to not try wacky setups here and decided to put on a more traditional setup. And Russell and Antonelli's times really reflected that, going up to 2nd and 6th. But another really interesting note, McLaren is not looking to have as much of a gap as they did pre-technical directives. So maybe they actually have done something of note, these technical directives. Maybe MBS finally decided to cook. Well, that was short-lived because in FP3, Piastri goes 7/10 ahead of Leclerc in 3rd place and 5/10 ahead of his teammate in 2nd. Other than that, there wasn't really any main things to note other than Sauber looking like they have a competitive car this weekend. Good for them. They are really in for some points, hopefully, with either Hülkenberg or Gabriel Bortoleto. Qualifying would start, and we would see McLaren, of course, set the pace as they did. Not as much of a gap as they had in practice 3, but still looking like the obvious fastest team on the grid. And wait, is that Yuki Tsunoda in P20? Well, guys, he is back to Red Bull second driver form here, and getting eliminated in Q1 in last place behind Franco Colapinto is quite an achievement for a Red Bull driver, I do have to say. Other names of note, Carlos Sainz in the Williams. The Williams has not looked very competitive this weekend, and he got eliminated in Q1. Not a great start to his home Grand Prix. Maybe one of his last home Grand Prix because of the Madrid. I can't even say that correctly, but other drivers, Hülkenberg barely missed out from Ollie Behrman, who decided to spend all of his soft tires in Q1 with an effort of making Q2. So good job, Haas, sacrificing all the tires to make Q2 for one extra place. Really great strategy, guys.
Q2 wouldn't really see any shock exits with the exception of Alex Albon missing out from Fernando Alonso into Q3. Great job, Alex Albon. This track obviously does not suit your car, and getting it almost into Q3 when your teammate was down in 18th. Really good job, honestly. And Liam Lawson out qualifying Yuki Tsunoda. It wasn't very hard to do. Yuki Tsunoda was in last place, but good job, Liam Lawson. That's a point for you. And you were slower than a Sauber, though, so maybe we have to revisit that. Q3 is really the session we all want to pay attention to, and man, oh man, McLaren's back at it again. Oscar Piastri with the largest pole margin of the season from Norris and Verstappen, and a great qualifying session altogether. Verstappen tried to get all the laps he could, and just wasn't enough. The pace of Oscar Piastri was just incredible. And Lewis Hamilton up in 5th. Good encouraging result from him and Ferrari. Charles Leclerc obviously had a different run strategy. He saved a set of tires instead of going out again, so that's why he's down in 7th. And Isaac Hadjar, man, the rookie continues to impress. Kimi Antonelli with a great 6th place, and Fernando Alonso into Q3 in an Aston Martin. That is always a great achievement. And Pierre Gasly for Alpine. His teammate is down in 19th, and he's P8 fighting for points. So good job, Pierre Gasly. You are really keeping this team afloat so far, because if it wasn't for you, they would just be nowhere. And now time for the race. But wait, Lance Stroll isn't going to participate. So Lance Stroll throughout this weekend was having pain in his hand from a procedure related to 2023 when he miraculously recovered from a surgery in time to race the first outing of the season in Bahrain. And I think it's finally coming back to bite him. But honestly, if I was Lance Stroll, I'd think I would have wanted to race in that good Aston Martin as well. And somehow he has dealt with this pain for multiple weeks, so I hope he recovers quickly. But here we go, though. It is Aston Martin reserve driver Felipe Drugovic's time, and hopefully this is the the wake-up call Aston Martin need to maybe replace Lance Stroll finally, because he has just done absolutely nothing in his 7 seasons with the team so far. So, yeah, Lance Stroll won't be participating, so now we actually get on to the race. So lap 1 would start, and I really was hoping we'd get a 2016 Mercedes teammate collision that would really impact this championship positively for Max, but nope. Lando Norris is allergic to starting a Grand Prix correctly, so Max passes him around the outside, and he drops down to 3rd. And another really driver to note is Nico Hülkenberg. Had to take off to the runoff area, but made up 5 or 6 places on the opening lap, and he is now in the point-scoring position ahead of his teammates. So good job, Nico Hülkenberg. Hopefully this is a sign of things to come throughout the race for him, and hopefully he can score some points today. The race really would neutralize there other than some on-track battles because of the mix of strategies, and Alex Albon, for the second time this race, has front wing damage, and after he collides with Liam Lawson, and can I just say, Liam Lawson's racecraft is absolutely atrocious. Like, there are just some overtakes that he tries that he just doesn't know where to place the car properly, and it leads to a lot of other drivers having damage. I will say this wasn't entirely his fault. Alex didn't really give him any space, caused the collision, but Alex retires from an atrocious weekend. Or does he? Yes, he gets a 10-second penalty that he doesn't want to have to serve the next race, so he comes back out, serves his 10-second penalty, and then retires the car. So just honestly an atrocious weekend for the entire Williams team. Alex Albon in general just looked like he was in a position to at least score a couple of points, and really just did not have a good race, honestly. But man, oh man, the shenanigans were just starting in this race. After being in a good position to score points, Kimi Antonelli's Mercedes decides to blow up. So he has to pull into the gravel, triggering a late safety car. And wow, I mean, a lot of drivers, you'd think they put on soft tires, but not the Red Bull Racing crew. No, Red Bull Racing decides to bolt hard tires for a safety car restart on Max Verstappen. And yes, that was the only new tire per se he had left, but I think he's better off with a set of heavily used softs so he can at least restart them and not be thrashed at the line like he was by Charles Leclerc and George Russell. And Red Bull, this wasn't their final mess up, so Max and Russell are having a bit of a fight. Red Bull says give back the position, even though Max thought that he didn't need to, and later on the stewards would confirm this, that no, there was no need to give back. They were not going to give a penalty. So Max decides to try and give back the place to George in a very cheeky way, but instead decides to drive into the side of George Russell out of frustration, and this then triggers a 10-second time penalty. Everybody's going crazy, and Max instead goes from getting a good chunk of points in the championship to stay in the hunt to getting P10. Man, what a just an absolute masterclass by the Red Bull team. Really, your driver is doing everything he can in that horrific car of yours, and you instead hinder him and cause him to get 10th place. Why? What was the logic there? In other news, Nico Hülkenberg decides to overtake Lewis Hamilton in a Ferrari on the final lap of the race and finish P5 for Sauber. Wow, I never thought Sauber could achieve anything outside of maybe a 7th at most. Like, P5 for Nico Hülkenberg on genuine pace is so encouraging for the Sauber team. They leapfrog Alpine in the standings, and what a finish to this race. And it's not even over. It continues after the race is done. So the race ends and both drivers are giving their accounts of the crash, or are they? Max doesn't really say much to the media here. Russell tries to claim how it is utterly irresponsible of Max to be this aggressive on track when children watch F1, but yes, let's just remind ourselves that this is the same guy who in the Monaco Grand Prix decides to purposely cut the chicane to overtake Alex Albon and says F off to the FIA when the team asks him give the position back. So, George, let's not use these double standards here. But in terms of the accident, yeah, I do think Max is more at fault. I think he was definitely just a little bit angry for sure that Red Bull had really just screwed him over and put a set of hard tires that just weren't going to work, had no grip. But I think that that Max should have tried to maybe look at a little bit more at the bigger picture. But I understand his frustrations. And when my team if my team was as incompetent as Red Bull Racing was these last couple of laps, I think I would probably drive into another driver out of frustration as well. So, yeah, overall, I just think that Max needs to be a little bit more disciplined in that sense because he is close to a race ban. He needs to be on his best behavior because 2 more penalty points and he gets a one race ban in the sport because of all the penalty points he accumulated this weekend, 3 in total. So, yeah, I just think that that he just needs to be a little bit more careful and a little bit more about seeing the bigger picture instead of driving into the side of George Russell. So now come the winners and losers first. First, I have Williams, and I mean, I don't know what happened to this team. I think they knew coming into the weekend that this track would not suit their car, but I think even they weren't expecting as atrocious of a weekend. Carlos was nowhere throughout the entire race, even after having great pace these last couple of weekends, and I don't even have to go into Alex Albon's race. I mean, he crashed his front wing twice, got a 10-second penalty, had to retire the car. It was all just a miserable weekend for Williams in general. Next, I have Red Bull Racing, and yeah, the entirety of Red Bull Racing, including their drivers. Max, for reasons I already discussed, obviously, but Yuki Tsunoda, qualifying in P20 and being absolutely nowhere in the race, and still after a 10-second penalty being 3 places back from your teammate is just utterly unacceptable for the second driver, and I really hope he actually cleans it up, not for his sake, but more for Isaac Hadjar's sake. I really don't want him to get promoted too early, and I think at this point, Red Bull just needs to keep Yuki Tsunoda in for the rest of the year and assess Isaac Hadjar later. But I just don't want Isaac Hadjar to really have his career ruined because he is such a promising prospect, and I don't want Red Bull to absolutely destroy his confidence. But also, the entire Red Bull pit wall, what are we doing? There is no reason for, on a safety car restart with less than 20 laps to go, to bolt on a set of hards. Period. Strategically, that just doesn't make sense, and they really need to clean up their act if Max, again, is going to stay. His exit clause that could be triggered for 2026 is coming closer and closer, so who knows, we might see Max Verstappen free agent for the brand new regulations, which, wow, would that be an enticing offer to any team, even if they have established drivers. I'm looking at you, Toto Wolff and Mercedes. Finally, I have Franco Colapinto, and I think the reason really speaks for itself. The fact that I have not mentioned anything of note other than he somehow outqualified Yuki Tsunoda in 19th just shows you that he's just not performing well, and it just really goes to show how Jack Doohan was doing the best he could in that car. The car is not great. Gasly's working miracles this year. And Franco, I really hope, is just trying to turn a corner here. Obviously, Spain was not a less than stellar weekend. He was last in 2 practice sessions and 17th, I think, in the third one. So no pace from him whatsoever, and I really hope he can turn a corner. But yeah, Franco Colapinto, my final loser of the week. Next, we have the winners, and my first winner is the Kick Sauber team. Wow, your car has really started to turn a corner, and it's almost like I said this in the rankings video I did earlier. Yes, Jonathan Wheatley, man, he has turned around this team. Nico Hulkenberg on genuine pace was P5. Gabby was great. He showed much more qualifying pace. He got up to 11th at one point before Alex Albon nipped him right at the end, and Sauber looks fantastic so far. I think they have a legitimate chance to go catch up to Haas. Maybe even Aston Martin, depending on the status of how Stroll looks and if they need a reserve driver, how that's going to work. So, man, Sauber is in a great direction. You really need to score as many points as you can, and maybe these technical directives help them. Maybe the reason they were so slow is that they couldn't get the Flexi technology out of their wings. So, good job, Sauber. Great weekend, and 10 points for Nico Hulkenberg. Quite a haul for the Kick Sauber team. Next, I have McLaren, and going to these new technical directives, people expected them to be slow, but that is not the case. If anything, they have gotten faster. Their car looks really balanced. It looks fantastic, and I think that Oscar Piastri is really making his mark on this year. I'm just going to say it right now. My official pick for the world champion is Oscar Piastri. His pace has looked really consistent. He's made less mistakes. Even though there's some tracks where you maybe have to be a little bit more aggressive, he wasn't as good on. His rear has snapped quite a bit, but I think that he's just been much more consistent than Lando has, and just overall great effort again from Oscar Piastri. And even Lando Norris coming over in second, he's keeping himself in the championship fight to see if there's maybe a turning point at all. So good job to the entire McLaren team, and great job for proving everybody who thought these technical directives would do anything wrong, including myself. So great job, McLaren. You guys are still the team to beat. My last winner is Charles Leclerc, and Charles Leclerc and Ferrari are in a bit of an interesting place. Their qualifying pace is meh. I mean, they're sometimes somewhere, sometimes in the middle, and but Charles Leclerc really kept a great race pace. He was faster than his teammate. He made the call for the tires, which ended up proving very effective in the end. Good job, Charles Leclerc, showing great pace all throughout the weekend. And honestly, I think that he came out of this triple header a pretty big winner. Honestly, he got podiums with the exception of Imola, and I think that is all you could have really asked for from as a Ferrari fan from Charles Leclerc. He's doing the most that he can in that car. Obviously, McLaren have the fastest car by a country mile right now, but good job, Charles Leclerc. Consistent pace all weekend and a podium to show for it. Great way to cap off the triple header, a second consecutive podium for Charles Leclerc, and that's really all you can ask for from a Ferrari fan standpoint. So that was the European triple header. Honestly, I think we emerged big winners from this. I think the racing was great with the exception of Monaco. There was a lot of action, and good job to us for surviving the supposed worst European part of the calendar. And if you like this video, please hit that like and subscribe button, and let me know down in the comments who your winners and losers are. And hey, if you're ever having a bad day, just remember, at least you're not Yuki Tsunoda qualifying P20 in a Red Bull.